You got to act it. How do you act sovereign? That's a good question. You know what I mean? How do you act free? You know, can you really act free, or do you just be free? And when you be free, then how do you act when you being free? She's going to break that down. How to act when you're sovereign. How to act when you're more. She's definitely going to tell you that information because she knows how to act. This sister here have done so many things and doing so many things that she have convinced us to listen to her. She have convinced us to follow her and be with her and to learn from her and to get this knowledge from her. And by us learning from one another and giving an ear to each other, I know that many times we think that we are not connected because we don't see each other. And that's another thing for a long time I've always wanted to do, and that was I've always wanted to have a castle where we can do communal living together, you know, because I think that one of the things that kill us is the fact that we have to, you know, go to our own separate abode, and then many of us, we get fired up at the meeting, and then when we got to go home to ourselves and by ourselves, we lose that steam, you know. But if we just lived together, if we had our own indigenous community, and that's what we have started, is our own indigenous community. But what that means is now we have to put that idea to work, to practice. We can't just talk that idea. We got to be that idea. We got to be a community. You see what I'm saying? And in order to be a community, that means to cancel out what they give us as a concept of a community. And as a community, we have to, you know, come together, and we have to be taught by those of us who know more than us so that they could guide us aright, because many of us, just like myself, is a baby in this thing. I haven't been a Moor very long. I mean, I've been a Moor by birth, but consciously, it haven't been very long. So therefore, I cannot mess around. I have to be around sisters like this as often as possible, because the longer you wait to get around the truth, the more you will be a victim of your falsehood that you have in your own mind. When you join on into something new, my brothers and sisters, you have to come into the full knowledge of what you into. They teaches us that we can't straddle the fence, and I say that if you're a United States citizen, you have no reason to straddle the fence. You should be out of that by now. United States of America gives you nothing but pain and suffering. Why would you want to straddle the fence? Why would you look for crumbs off the rich man's table who is now poor and you don't know it? He's a poor man now. He's robbing and stealing from you and I just to keep himself alive. This society has already fallen. It's no more. What we living off of and what we see going on is a fragmented society. A society that is really, I'm going to let the Queen break that down. Well, you got a lot to break down, don't you? Yeah, but that's all right. She can handle it. You ain't heard of, those of you who haven't heard her teach, oh man, you ready for a real treat. We are going to do this every month. Every month we're going to give you somebody dynamic, because we have to rise in consciousness. We want to be ready when the Queen tell us that it's time to come get this part of the land. We want to be ready to go to City Hall or Washington, D.C., wherever she say we need to go and declare to get this part of the land. We want to be ready for that. So I'm grateful you came out, Queen. I really am. I just have to give it up. Let's give her a round of applause for taking out of her time and coming up here. Yes, sir. And words won't even express how I feel. Words don't express it because we're already living in the hereafter. Many of us don't know it. I'm blessed to know that, though. I'm blessed to, when I see your faces, I'm blessed to see the faces of men and women who are coming into a new society, a new way of thinking. We're no longer, what time are we supposed to be out of here, Noah? We're rolling. Okay. So, I like that. We're rolling. I think it's time to bring our queen on. Because, you know, I'm just so full. I could just talk, but I just want to bring the queen on so that she can give you some heavy facts. Some facts that my brothers and sisters will really be able to chew on, because a lot of times, you know, since we're all learning, you know what I mean, we get a chance to share our information, but it's good when the heavy duties come around, because then they get a chance to put the heavy duty stuff. And so I'm just going to make way, and I'm just going to call her the queen. Let's bring her on with a round of applause. You want this? How you want to do? Take it off?
I've been invited here tonight by these gentlemen to share with you information regarding law and what law really is. And for those of you who are not Moors, and maybe for some of those of you who are Moors, I assure you that what you perceive as being law is not what law really is. Sorry about that. Throughout the history of this country, the majority of us have believed that we were from Africa. I'm not going to start with that discussion tonight, because most likely the reason you're here is because you already know we're not from Africa, and that in fact this is our land. So beginning with that premise, whether you're Moor or not Moor, I'm going to start with what law really is. Most of us think that we go into a courtroom and understand the difference between a court and a courtroom, that the people who purport to use law really use words of art to make you believe, in fact, that law is on the table when you walk into a courthouse or a courtroom, when in fact that's not true. And I would like to share with you tonight, regardless of your religious persuasion, what law really is. Law, and as Muslims would say, all law, is A-L-L space L-A-W. All law. All law. So for anyone who's of a Christian persuasion, don't be misled, and when you hear the term all law is God, all right? That is also what we would say in lawful terms a misnomer. Allah is not God. God has no capacity and no standing to all law. Because God means governmental ordinance departments. There is no comparison. Now, who can use law? Law can only be used by people who are in their sovereign capacity. And as I will share with you tonight, the majority of the people in the world, and I'm not going to get into all of the details about that, but the majority of the people in the world, 99% of them live in slavery today. So in 1863, via the Emancipation Proclamation, and I challenge you to go look in a law dictionary and look up the definition of emancipation and proclamation, and you will see that a proclamation is not a law. A proclamation is a public announcement by elected officials.